Today, we are talking about the Unity Tactical Fast Riser. Getting into the Unity Tactical Fast Riser. So as we're talking specifically about the Fast Riser, but the concept and the design, the thought process behind it all applies to the fast mount as well for the aim point. We'll talk more about the fast mount a little bit later. But really quick, it gives you a 2.26 height over bore height from center line. And so it's just a little bit higher than a lower 1/3. It's made out of 7075 T6 aluminum. The Fast Riser is designed to take lower 1/3 mounts and raise them up higher. It will work with true co-witness mount or sights, but it's designed for the lower 1/3. So if you run the co-witness and then you were to put the magnifier behind it with the Fast Riser for the magnifier, you're going to run into some issues where it may not line up correctly just because of how they're designed. But outside of that, you should be okay. All right, so what you'll notice right here is that we've got 2 threaded sockets, and that is for an add-on that they have designed and are working on that I haven't seen released yet, but I know I've seen it on some prototypes. And it's just an offset rear sight so that you can run any traditional, they say it'll work with any traditional front offset sight, and it lines up with those, so that way you don't have the issues. Because with the Fast Riser, you can't do a traditional peep sight here or traditional backup sights. So I have them on here, and the reason being is that the EOTech is a quick release, and so if there were an issue and it went down, I would just use the quick release to take it off, and then I would have access to my peep sight along with the leaf front sight on the D-ball. So that's just a quick overview of the product, and so I think there's a lot of benefits for everyone, for professional end users as well as the average end user. But before I dive into that, I got to sit down with Brandon, Ninebanger, as well as Sam Pitchfork, and just kind of get their thoughts on it. Brandon's running the fast mount, and Sam's running the Fast Riser as I am. And so I got to pick their brain and ask them a little bit. They've both been running it for a little while, so I'll let you guys see their thoughts here.
Running it for a couple months now. I'm running it both personally and on duty, and what I really dig about it is how high the mount is. People are like going off and on about whether high mounts are the new business, pros and cons of them. There are definitely pros and cons to consider when you're thinking about going to a taller mount. Personally, I have come to like it. I have found some cons, but the pros kind of outweigh the cons for me. So most people are used to shooting either their co-witness or their lower 1/3 mounts, which I agree with heavily. A lot of people go co-witness because, hey, I'm keeping my optic and I'm keeping my irons all in the same center line, and it works real great for consistency in your cheek mounting and how you actually mount your rifle. When you get into your taller mounts, you have to start thinking about which mount you're going to run, so that maybe I have offset irons, or maybe I do my irons underneath. This is one of the newer EOTech, so it's going to be one of the lower 1/3. I do still find that when I do present and come up on the rifle, that I still have to duck my head ever so slightly in order to get my eyeball into that center line of the reticle. And one thing that I'm doing is, as I tilt my head down or as I turtle shell, is that my eyes are now not looking straight at the target, but I'm actually looking up into my skull a little bit. And it kind of it's not the most natural line of sight for most shooters. You'll see that when I actually go to the taller mount, the 2.26, I can actually keep my head up and my line of sight is directly on the target. And when I come and I roll and I mount my rifle, I actually bring the optic right into my line of sight. One thing you do lose is you lose that super tight cheek well that most people are used to, and you have a much more natural, relaxed head orientation. Standing, kneeling, and everything is going to be great. One of the cons is that when you do get into a prone position, you'll find when you're zeroing your rifle or just shooting prone is that you have to kind of crank your neck a little bit. Those are just kind of like some pros and cons of actually shooting it. When I'm actually shooting it at work, night vision works real well. You can start actually shooting passively through your tube. You don't have to crank that tube below to actually find it. You can actually just get that buttstock out there and actually get that tube behind it. I personally don't shoot passively with my nods because God gave us lasers. When talking about this, a lot of people who aren't working with these tools professionally might want to say, okay, why would I need a taller mount? I'm not shooting with night vision. I'm not shooting with a gas mask. Why do I need one? I do find a little bit more comfort when shooting with that more heads up natural position, you're going to find that you're keeping your head up towards a threat. It's just a little more comfortable. It's easier and a little bit faster to get on the dot. You do have to think about your height over bore with your mechanical offset when you're shooting over barricades or around vehicles. Shooting anything close range, you're going to have to really start thinking about where I'm going to put that dot or put that reticle as opposed to my desired point of impact. One of the things that I have noticed is that I use a 50-yard zero both professionally and personally. I find that when I want that tee box shot at 10 to 7 to 5 yards in, when I want that perfect tee box shot, I normally with my lower 1/3 or my co-witness hold about 1.5 to 2 inches over my desired point of impact. With this one, I'm holding like maybe 2.5 inches. So if I hold hairline or just above hairline, I'm still getting that good tee box shot that I want.
So I have been running the Unity Fast Riser for probably like I think 10 months or so by now. I'm really liking it. Initially, it was designed for gas mask use, night vision, stuff like that, but there is I'm not gonna say a need for it, but it does help out a lot for me, because when the XPS2 is usually sitting on the rail, you have to really dig your cheek into the cheek weld super, super hard. And for me, I don't find it comfortable. I like having my head up natural. So having this riser on there, really pushing up that optic, allows me to keep my head nice and straight. So as I transition a pistol or as I'm looking around a barricade, I don't have to have my neck turtled in so hard. And it's been absolutely wonderful. Some cons about it though, it is a lot higher than the normal XPS2 on the rail, so you will have issues with height over bore. So if you're shooting close distances, you're going to have to really, really aim high, and you will have issues with if you're shooting around obstacles, shooting around a car. I do it all the time on accident, shoot the car on accident, but you just got to remember that your optic is a lot higher over the bore now, so you got to take that in consideration. But I mean, for normal distances, I really like how comfortable it allows my neck to be, not scrunched up so hard into the rifle. So yeah, if you're looking for a riser for Picatinny optics, it's a really great option, I think.
I share the sentiment of both. So like I agree with Brandon and I agree with Sam. I think there's a lot of added benefit for not just for professional end users, but also for the average end user. So specifically for guys, if you're LE military and you're running nods, you're running gas masks, if you're running a laser system, I think this is a great option for you. Now, if you're not, so then what about the average end user, the civilian, more like myself and Sam? So we don't wear gas masks. That's not a part of our job description. We don't run nods as a part of our job description, although you can see that I'm trying to get into that here. But I do think there is an added benefit for the average end user. So they call it the fast mount, and I do believe that it is faster because it allows you to bring the sight to your eye as opposed to trying to get your eye down to the sight. This allows you to be more heads up, be in a more natural position, and you're just bringing the gun up to your eye, and you're there on target, and then you can move more freely. You're not so turtled and hunched over. This kind of gives you a little bit of a cheat code, so to speak. So I think there's benefit for everyone, not just somebody who's running gas mask nods. I think it's kind of categorized as that and marketed as that, but I think there's a lot of added benefit for every end user. So I would highly recommend it for everyone. Now there are some considerations that you need to take into account. So your offset is obviously going to be different. So if you're shooting in and around barricades, in and around vehicles, you need to be aware of that. It is slight, but it only takes a little bit for you to be hitting a pillar as opposed to shooting around it or through a windshield. Same thing if you're working a barricade. If you're up that close, just be aware that it is a little bit different. As well as your hold. So Unity did this great chart. They made this great chart, and I'll put it up here, and I'll also link it in the description below. And it gives you an idea of what your holds are at different yardages if you're zeroed at 50 yards, 100 yards, 200 yards, 300, whatever. And they break it down, and it gives you just an awesome perspective into the difference between this and then running lower 1/3 or true co-witness. So those are the two big considerations you need to take into account. One of the things that we were shooting this past weekend, we were out there just hanging out, having a good time, and trying some things out. And I had multiple guys say, hey man, how do you feel shooting that? Because you look really comfortable. Brandon told me that, Fred told me that, and they're like, dude, it just looks natural, it looks comfortable, it doesn't look like you're straining. Brandon made the note and said, you can obviously tell when a guy is uncomfortable shooting a gun, or when he's in an uncomfortable position. And that's the case for a lot of guys. And so this, I think, gives you that opportunity to be more comfortable shooting the gun. And the more comfortable you are, I feel like the more you're going to want to train, the more you're going to want to shoot, and the more enjoyable it's going to be in the long run. And the more you're training, the more you're out shooting, the better prepared you are, as well as the more proficient you are with your firearm, which I think is a huge benefit for everybody. But yeah, so pricing on these, I think for the riser, it's like $80, $90 for the riser. And then if you're running the fast mount, I think it's around $160, $170. I know they're kind of hard to come by right now. They've been having some kind of, they've been high in demand, so trying to keep up with that. I do know Triarch Systems has them in stock on their website as well as in store, so you can hit them up, triarchsystems.com, get yours there. They have both the fast riser and the fast mount, as well as the magnifier mount for the aim point. So we're still waiting for the magnifier mount for the EOTech. Go get you one. I think you guys will enjoy it. I need to clean this gun because I think the last 3 or 4 videos I've made, I said I needed to clean it, and I haven't. I haven't cleaned this gun. It's so dirty. I haven't even lubed it. I haven't lubed this thing in like 2 months, and we go shoot at least once a week, and she's starting to feel it. So gonna get it cleaned up, and yeah. But if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Karate chop that bell so you get notified every time I upload a video, and I will see you guys in the next one. And what that's for is that there is a add-on coming that is... My son is losing his mind in the next room. Hey, I'm trying to record in here! I'm talking to you, James!